Welcome to Complexity Made Simple. My name is Paul Allen, and before we get on to today's video, just a reminder of how you can support the channel. Please subscribe, please leave comments on all the videos because that really does help. But if you want to support the channel further, there is a donation page. Please go to Buy Me a Coffee and leave a donation, which is always fantastically helpful. Keeps the channel moving and allows me to make all of this fresh material. But if you want a textbook that contains all the good stuff from the videos, please click on the link and buy, drink tea and read the paper from lulu.com. All of these things really help the channel. Thank you to all the people that continue to buy this textbook. It really is fantastically helpful. Now let's get on to today's video. Welcome to the latest video. And in this video newsletter, what we're going to talk about is the importance or not of doing a normality test. Okay, so people get obsessed with these things. Doing a normality test on your data. Okay, so now in particular, this is related to doing CPK analysis. So this comes from a client. This comes from a client of mine. They've subcontracted some components. They've sent them to another. They've produced parts as a subcontractor. They've sent them to another site. The site have looked at the data from a molding process, and it's not normal, and therefore they've then said, well, because it's not normal, your CPK values are no longer valid, yada yada. So okay, so we're going to take a look at, is it really necessary? Is this important? Let's remember what you are doing with a CPK analysis. You've collected some data. Usually a sample. So you've taken a sample between 30 and 50 is fantastic. Now, because you've sampled, what you don't want to do is use the observed range here. You don't want to use the observed range to predict where your extreme results will fall, because you will underestimate the spread. So what we therefore do, we model the distribution. Now in this case, we are going to fit a normal model. We are modeling what we expect to happen if we produce 1,000 pieces, 2,000 pieces, 10,000 pieces. And then of course what we are doing is we are predicting extremes. We're going to predict the range. Now obviously a prediction, it is an estimate of what's going to happen. Obviously your sample is an estimate of what's going to happen. So why do you do the normality test? Well, the normality test would be to say, can I rely on this estimate? Am I going to make an important decision on this data and I'm going to look like an idiot or cost my company bucket loads of cash? All right, so that's why we do a normality test. Now let me draw you the capability data that these guys have been seeing. So they've got capability results that look like this. Okay, and then what they've done is they've done a normality test on this and said it's not normal, I can't rely on the results. Well, if you look at the results are predicting something like one defect in 100,000 cycles And what the normality test is saying, well, it's not normal, you can't rely on this number. Okay, fair enough. Ask yourself a question. How far am I likely to be out? What is likely to be the error when I don't get this estimate? So what could it be? Could it be that I really get 4 defects in 100,000? Now that would be out by a factor of 4-fold. You're 400% wrong. What's the risk? If I'm 400% wrong with my defect rate, does it make a difference? Absolutely not. Does normality matter in this case? Absolutely not. Now, one of the data sets they sent me did look like this. So again, superb capability, by the way. But it was jammed up. I don't think we observed any defects, but we were jammed up right against the bottom tolerance. And again, we did a normality test, and clearly we had a defect rate associated with that tail. I don't know what the numbers were, okay? But it actually doesn't matter. Look, it's making an estimate of the defect rate. It's making a prediction. Can I rely on it? Well, it's not normal, so it might make an error. So I might miscalculate what's going on here. Does it still matter? No, I shouldn't be there. Look at it. This process is brilliantly capable. What you should be worrying about is how to center it. Whether the bloody data's normal or not is absolutely pointless. We've got ourselves into a statistical tizzy over something that isn't giving us any problems whatsoever. That's going to give you a problem. But it ain't going to give you a problem because it's not normal. It's going to give you a problem because you're sitting on the bottom tolerance. Guys, can we relax about these tests? There are times when normality might be needed, but it's a very rare situation indeed. What you're asking yourself the question is, can I rely on the prediction? So when it makes a prediction like this, you want to know that that model, because when you do CPK, you are modeling what's going to happen. Is the model reliable? Now it could be here, for instance, it's predicting 5% defects in this tail, 5% defects in this tail, but when you look at the data, the underlying distribution, maybe it looks a bit messy like this, you know. Now normality. Again, is normality the issue? Now the flipping defect rate's the issue. You know, I'm going to say that I've got a 10% defect rate. I'm going to tell my bosses that the risk is that we got a 10% defect rate. Can I rely on that result? Can I rely on that number? Will it be accurate? Probably not, because it's not normal. Will it change my decision though? No. I've got to fix that. It's a disaster. Sort it out. I've got to fix this. It's a disaster. Sort it out. The normality test, it's only if it's really going to change your decision. If you think it's the difference between spending a lot of money modifying a molding tool and spending no money and deciding to run with it, that maybe this might help you question what's going on, collect more data. By the way, better thing to do if you don't like the normality, collect more data and use the observation defect rate. Then it'll tell you what's happening. You can decide whether it's painful or whether it's not painful. But relax about normality. All it's trying to tell you is, can I rely on this prediction? Can I rely on this number? Sometimes the fact that I can't rely on the number, in fact most of the time, it doesn't matter. It doesn't change my decision. I have to fix this. I have to fix this. Normality, doing a transformation, getting something that's normal, would not change my decision. Don't overcomplicate this. Keep your wits about you. Look where the data's landing. Look how much money it's costing you, and use the prediction, use the modeling to tell you what to do next. And that's all you've got to do. And then you can keep it simple statistically, make brilliant decisions, and make a bucket load more cash without tying yourself in knots doing these kinds of things.